something that they can see, touch. Creation is an act of sheer will. Next time it'll be flawless.
What follows is a record of certain events in which I took part on an island I will call Site B.
Don't bring people halfway around the world to visit a zoo. Bring the zoo to them.
After the accident in the park, Harlequin and Carissa wiped out our facility on Site B. We had to evacuate, of course, and the animals were released to mature on their own.
Mommy! Daddy, you've got to come see this! I found something!
Oh yeah, that's how all this starts. Then later there's running and screaming.
Saddle up, let's get this movable beast underway.
Thank God for Site B.
Hello and welcome to this very special bonus episode of the Lost World Minutes. This week, or today, the 23rd of May, we are gathered to look back on one of our favourite films of this franchise. And we have a guest. Please welcome prominent member of the Jurassic community, self-proclaimed fan of the Lost World, and a massive collector, Mr. J. Jurassic. Welcome, sir.
Hey guys, how you doing?
Very good, very good. If listeners don't know of you, why not? You do have a very prominent role on the Jurassic Park podcast with your Amber Finds segment, which is always a joy to listen to every week.
Oh yeah. I've been doing that for a while now. The Amber Finds, just talking about my collection here and there on the Jurassic Park podcast.
Yep. Sort of one of those things. There's too many Brads in this franchise. Talking to Brad about possibly doing something for the show, like a separate segment, and I'm thinking, well, you already got one guy talking about figures and sort of trying to find something to talk about to go onto the show, and now we've got the trivia segments now on there as well, and it's but it is good that it's open to all fans of the franchise to get on there and have their voice heard one way or the other.
Oh no, definitely. I've loved that about the JP podcast. How it's really open to all of us going on there, and you can start your own segment and whatnot. And mine started out somewhat of it was a suggestion by Brad. Brad wanted to see if I could do that segment, and I was like, I was really new to podcasting back then. I think it was like November when I started, and I just started listening to podcasts. Like basically, JP podcast was like the first one I really listened to, and then I started branching out, and I have like a bunch of podcasts on my my phone, including this one, and like and I was like, oh, I don't know if I could do that. Like, I don't really know what to do. I don't have, like, the recording equipment or nothing. He's like, dude, it's not like I got to get, like, a whole radio station going. But, yeah, I did one of them, and I got really positive feedback from the fans. And now I just keep going with it, and we branch out to other stuff. I've been on other segments with other JP fans, like the Game Trail, where we talk about games.
Yeah.
And then I branched out mine into two other segments, where one of them is like Review Corner, where we're gonna be reviewing some toys and certain items that are coming out now for like the Jurassic World line.
Yep.
Like we did a review that should be coming out soon of the Breakout T-Rex. From Chronicle.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah,
and
that's
yeah, very controversial, statue.
Mm-hmm.
And we also did. I also have this other segment where it's called Hunters and Gatherers, where I talk to other collectors about their collections.
Yep. And it's full. Mm-hmm. It's full props to you as well. Like to sit down and talk for 5-10 minutes by yourself, talking about a certain figure. Anyone that's ever tried to sit down and talk, whether it's YouTube video or just record some audio, it is a tough job, and you do a very good job of it. So,
oh, thank you.
It is something I look forward to each week. Looking at some of the figures or some of the items in your collection. In recent weeks, it's been some more of the Lost World stuff that both me and David have got in our collections, and it's good to hear about brought back up again as well.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, Lost World is very special to me. I love that movie. It's the movie that you mean Jurassic Park started it, the whole crazy obsession for me, especially Rexy in general.
Yeah.
Made me like fall in love with dinosaurs. I always say, and I've said it a million times on podcasts. How do you fall in love with dinosaurs? Well, yes, Rexy was the dinosaur that made me fall in love with dinosaurs. But The Lost World was the movie that solidified my obsession with dinosaurs and the Jurassic Park franchise. So when it comes to Lost World, I'm like, when I find an item that's Lost World related, I don't even care about the silliness of the item or what it is. I take it, I collect it immediately.
Yeah.
And I've had friends that are like in a lot of these like toy conventions and some of the other guys that know that I collect Jurassic Park. When they know they have a Lost World item, they're like, "Oh, we know who to give this. Who's gonna get this?" And they always know it's. I got something for you, and it's from the Lost World. I'm like, okay, immediately interest. Okay, yeah, what is it? You know.
Instantly.
Yeah, the great thing about this, especially the Lost World and Jurassic Park, was they had these massive merchandising campaigns, and there's just so much out there to collect. I mean, you got plates, and you got commemorative plates, and then you got beach towels, toys, sippy cups, just like every possible thing you can think of Jurassic Park related was put out there with Jurassic Park and the Lost World.
My God, they are well organized. Those are some major league toys.
I suppose we can go into that first up. Some of our favourite merchandise and tie-in toys, that sort of stuff of the franchise. Jay, have you got something that really stands out, whether it's an official release or a prop or something from the franchise, or from Lost World mainly, I suppose?
Oh, I wish I had like an original like movie prop or something, but I just have like merchandise related items. I haven't gotten to that movie prop like arena yet.
Yep.
With these things. Haven't been that fortunate, but I would love to move into that arena in time. And hopefully I will.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just merchandise related stuff right now for the time being.
Yep.
Yeah, that's about it.
Yep. You got a favourite on your shelf from the official stuff?
Lost World related?
Yeah, yep.
I would say relating to I guess sentimental value related, I would say probably the mobile command center,
yep.
the RV toy, because of the like when I got it, and I explained that on one of the Christmas special that we did with Brad on the JP podcast, where it had to do with like a really bad Christmas, and it was the thing that took my mind off of that Christmas, and it was just that RV was super tough to get. What people and kids don't realize today is that like when a toy comes out or something, they know about it like immediately. We didn't know that back then. In 97, we just had like those Kenner catalogs and what it showed on the back of the card on these toys, and you had no idea when these things were really coming out. And when they did, they flew off the shelves, and plus big items like that were not massively produced.
Yeah.
So you saw it, you had to get it. And like I was lucky enough that my parents, they saw it and they knew they weren't able to get me the first command center for Jurassic Park, so they were like, well, we're gonna get them this one. And just like that Christmas was really bad when I got that, and I was able to actually open that gift early and take my mind off from like the really bad Christmas that was going on and be able to play with that item. And that item has like a significant memory for it and emotional value to it. But other than that, I would say, let's see, Lost World.
Well, even with the mobile command center, it might not be as iconic as the command center from Jurassic Park, but just having those trailers in toy form, all the playability with them, being to scale with the figures, and being able to have the figures inside them, I definitely like it as well. It's definitely a very good figure. I got mine later on second hand on eBay, but it was in its box, and the box is in great condition, so I can't complain
nice.
there.
Nice. I wish I still had the box. I don't have the box anymore. A lot of my items like that, like toy-wise, they're out of box. I have a lot of box stuff, but a lot of it is out of box because I actually played with these items. A lot of them have like these memories attached to them.
Yeah.
I think it's like going towards JP3 and, now Jurassic World that don't have that, like, that sentimental value, really. Like, there's no, I'm not, I'm not buying these Jurassic World items and sitting there and playing with them. I do take them out of the box sometimes and just like, there you go, and like put them on my desk. Have a little scene fighting, like the Indominus fighting the Stomping Rex, but
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And that's that air quotes nostalgia that we'll get to it a little bit when we talk about our favourites of the franchise, movie-wise. But David, what about you? What do you got on your shelf that you love? You have outfits.
Oh my God.
I do actually. I've got not prop replicas, but like the original same make and model as some of the props, like in some of the costumes.
Wow.
But my favorite toy, I'm gonna break it up here into two segments: favorite toy and then favorite sentimental toy. My favorite toy was and always will be the Thrasher T-Rex, just because for me that was the T-Rex. It looked just like the T-Rex in the movie. Had the face, had the body shape, it was the T-Rex. And so I didn't have one when I was a little kid. But my friends and my cousins had one, and so each had one. And so I would always go over there when we play dinosaurs and we play Jurassic Park, and so the Thrasher T-Rex was always the toy that I loved the most. Mm-hmm. But my favorite sentimental toy would have to be the Cyclops Raptor, because it was the first Jurassic Park toy I've ever gotten, and I still have it. And the paint is rubbed, it's faded, it's got bite marks on it, but it's been through so much. But I love it because it shows that it has that history to it. It shows that it was a kid's favorite toy. Yeah. But I'd have to say that my favorite thing wardrobe-wise in my collection of my prop collections, because I have a Kubra Leisure Time that I modded up to look like Roland's hat. I have a Willis and Geiger Hemingway jacket that was the same jacket Roland used in the movie. And I have a Willis and Geiger rucksack that was Sarah Harding's Lucky Pack.
Your Lucky Pack!
Oh my God, you have that?
Yes, I do. Not the actual pack, but it was, it's the same make and model as Sarah Harding's Lucky Pack.
Wow.
That's amazing, dude. That's amazing.
Yeah, it's probably my favorite one that I got, because I loved the idea of a Lucky Pack when I was a kid. And so it's honestly it's actually the best backpack I've ever owned.
Yeah, I ended up making my own, because I saw like those backpacks go for like so much money, and they're so difficult to get. And I was like, okay, I can't throw money like that right now. I'm like, all right. So I ended up getting some like greenish looking rucksack. It's not exactly to the T looking like that one, but I ended up just making that and making it my own. I added all these patches onto it. I added this one patch that says "My Lucky Pack," and it has like it's like the shape of Isla Sorna.
Oh wow!
And I sold all those in. I got Jurassic Park patches on there. Got Lost World. Got my logo,
nice.
J Jurassic. I have my cat's Cheetosaurus Rex logo on there. I mean, I took that pack to that Jurassic Park meetup. I mean, a Jurassic World meetup.
Yep.
And everybody knew instantly who I was because of the lucky pack.
Well, even going with that bit of a darker green colour in the material, you could always say, well, this is more of a Richard Levine backpack than a Sarah Harding backpack. Also,
that's true. That's true.
Yeah.
Everyone did ask where the hole was, because you know how Sarah has like a hole in the lucky. I was like, I don't know if I want to put one in there right now.
Yeah.
It's a good pack. Like I put so much stuff in that thing. I could carry so much, and I'm like, I don't really want to. I want to actually be able to use it for like conventions.
Yeah, yeah. Let's not put a big hole in the middle of it.
But the amazing thing with these costumes, though, is you watch them on screen and they look a lot heavyweight fabric than they actually are. Rowan's jacket, for example, it looks like it's a kind of like a heavier kind of cotton cloth. It's not. It's super lightweight. Same with Sarah Hodgins' Lucky Pack. It has this look to it that it's this tough, heavy fabric when it's not. It's honestly featherweight.
It's an interesting thing too, where you sort of look at the costumes for some of the major characters. They're going there paid by InGen, so they're going to be wearing the most sort of the expensive safari gear or whatever else to go to the island, which makes it hard for us poor collectors to go after those costumes as well. It's not like Jurassic Park where we just got Laura Dern wearing some denim jeans and jacket, or Sam Neill wearing his denim as well. But
yeah, that whole safari look just gives it that special feel, Lost World, you know.
Yep.
Yeah, definitely.
So it separates it so much. Those moves are so different with each other.
Yeah, yep. Anything else from the toy aspect you want to talk about?
The Bull T-Rex. We could talk about that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
That's got to be. I guess if I would say my favorite sentimental one would be the RV. My favorite one would be the Bull T-Rex. You know, I do love the Thrasher. Don't think there's no love for the Thrasher, but the Bull T-Rex is the one that I saw some kid had at school, and I'm like, oh my god, I need that T-Rex.
Where did you get it?
And I actually wasn't able to get it when I was a kid. It was super difficult to find. I had my parents go to like 5 different Toys R Us around here in Jersey, and just knowing that like this thing could like eat the humans like whole, I was like, oh my god. So like I wasn't able to get him as a kid. I got him actually I think about 7 years ago off of eBay. I was able to actually get him. And I got him for like a really good price. Smoke-free house, because I swear sometimes you get some of these items and they just smell like straight up smoke.
Yeah.
And you get like a good deal. Like, oh, that didn't say that on the listing. You're like, oh, Ted Brothers has that sometimes. He'll open up one, he's like, yeah, it's a good deal, but woof, it smells really bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like a bit of the bench warmer here, because I had a couple of Jurassic Park figures when I was young. I was 10 at the time when Jurassic Park came out, and by the time Lost World came out, I'd sort of moved on to high school, and I was there opening week for the Lost World, but I didn't buy anything from the line. I was sort of out of buying stuff or getting my parents to buy stuff for me. It was only probably the last 10 years where I started going back and sourcing all this stuff, and I actually like some of the Matchbox sets that come out that tied in with it. More so some of the village or the town play sets that sort of come out with them as well.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Just like the gas station and the I don't know what it needs to be, a parking structure on Sauna, but hey, we got a play set for it. But
yeah.
A lot of that Matchbox stuff I've still got that's sealed in box. I've got some loose stuff here that the young fella plays with from time to time, but it's a wide range. There's a lot of stuff in the Lost World figure range.
Yeah, definitely. They went all out, you know, and it was because, you know, like Jurassic Park, they went all out, and then Lost World, I think the Jurassic World line, Lost World line was larger within the toy scale than Jurassic Park. I think it was because there was like more of a line of like figures and whatnot, and then the Matchbox. We didn't have that for Jurassic Park. We had like these little die-cast figures.
Yeah.
Like these die-cast dinosaurs that you would get like.
Yep. On the card with the little collector cards.
Yeah, and it's funny because I didn't get those. I used to see them all the time when I was a kid. And I was like, I don't want those. I want the toys. I want the action figures. And as an adult, I'm like, oh man, I have like 2 missing. Come on, where are you?
Yeah.
I saw all of them at this toy show. This guy had them all in a bag. I don't have the cards for them, but he had them all in the bag, and I was like, oh man, these are really cool. How much do you want for these all? And I can't remember how much I paid for them, but basically they only have 3 missing, and it's tough because it's like I look online and I'll find the 3, but it's like with a bunch of other stuff, and I'm like, I don't need that stuff. I just need those 3, but I don't want to pay like $80 for just those 3.
Yeah.
But I mean, eBay's crazy right now. Like the prices.
No, definitely
Ridiculous.
Oh, you look at anything on eBay for box, any of the stuff that's got its packaging, and it's just,
makes you cry.
Yeah, it does. It does.
It really does. And it's just, and it's crazy to think that like when I got that Bull T-Rex, that Bull T-Rex was like a high price, and I remember I paid with shipping and everything. I think it was like $25.
Yep.
Which is unheard of for a Bull T-Rex now. You know, but that's what happens when when something like this becomes popular. And mainstream again.
Yeah. Thank you, Jurassic World, for making our collecting habits more expensive.
Yeah, which I'm glad. It's a little weird. It's kind of like I'm glad that Jurassic Park is getting that recognition. It's so deserved, for a long time. Our community has been somewhat of a small community, but we are a very tight-knit community when it comes to like how much passion we have for this franchise. But now it's like the rest of the world is trying to get in on it again. And it's like, it was our thing, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm glad there's a bunch of new fans, but at the same time I'm kind of like it was our thing for all these years.
Very true.
Tonight we'll christen Jurassic Park San Diego with a mega attraction that will drive turnstile numbers to rival any theme park in the world. I want to thank each one of you for being intrepid enough to turn up in the wee small hours of the morning.
IMDb trivia and info. Original airing May 19th, 1997 in LA. Widescreen release hit the US 23rd of May 1997. Australia 29th of May 1997. Singapore 5th of June. South Korea got it on the 14th of June. New Zealand 26th of June. Japan 12th of July. The UK got it 18th of July, which is probably why we're getting a 2-week gap this time with Jurassic World 2. China 7th of August. France got 12th of September. Lucky last, Belgium 22nd of October, so a bit of a wait for some of the other countries. Actors from Jurassic Park making their return, of course. We got Jeff Goldblum returning as Ian Malcolm, Sir Richard Attenborough returning as John Hammond, Ariana Richards returning as Lex, and Joseph Maloza returning as Tim in some smaller roles. It was released with a estimated $73 million budget. The figure's closer to 75 because it was a good $10 million up on what Jurassic Park's budget was of $65 million. And I think you can definitely see it on screen. A lot more animatronics. CG's a lot better. A lot less actual constructed sets, but a lot more location shooting. But it definitely looks good on screen. And it was definitely a success. It had just over $90 million opening weekend box office for the US. And it made $385 million overseas. and altogether worldwide, 614 million worldwide box office. So it was definitely a success, and I'm pretty sure it stayed at the top of the box office until Titanic, which was only a couple of months later, unfortunately. But that's about it for the IMDb stuff, so now we'll get into the look back at The Lost World.
Taking dinosaurs off this island is the worst idea in a long, sad history of bad ideas, and I'm going to be there when you learn that.
Moving on from toys, I know Dave and myself talked about in the introduction minute of the podcast about where and when we seen the film. Jay, were you there opening weekend to see the film, or did you see it later on?
Oh, definitely. I was there. It was on a Monday morning, Memorial Day here in the United States. And I remember, like, begging my uncle because he wasn't able to take me to see the first one. I didn't see the first one in theaters.
Yeah.
I saw it in a tiny, small, like, 13-inch TV in my cousin's bedroom when he got it before me, because it was his birthday. Now I remember the other day I was talking about that, and I was like, I can't remember why my cousin Brian got it before me. And I remember my grandma had bought me the tape, but she didn't want to give me the tape before him because it was exactly his birthday when it came out. Because I think Jurassic Park came out October 24th or 25th, and his birthday was right around there. I think it's 25th. And that night when we got home, my grandmother had the VHS for me. She's like, I had it already, but she had to, give him tape first so that he didn't feel bad, So I saw the first one in the tiniest TV ever, and it was awesome, but I would have much rather seen it in the big screen. But with Lost World, I was bothering my uncle all week, and I'm like, we're going, right? We're going. And he's like, yes, we're going, because he had read the book.
Oh,
and he had actually let me borrow the book, and I actually read the book for like a book report, and I didn't know how long and how awesome Creighton's writing is at a kid that's like in 4th grade.
Yeah, very true.
And so we were there. We went to this theater that's now at Best Buy in around my area. Yeah, they switched it all up. And,
Progress.
Yeah. And the line there when we got there, I remember seeing my uncle's face. My uncle's face was like, oh my God. The line went around like twice around the theater. It was crazy. We were waiting we parked our car in the parking lot, and basically we got out of the car and got in line because the line was coming out into the parking lot. So it's like, yeah, it was nuts. And it was just like the anticipation was crazy. I remember getting into that theater and just watching this film and just being in complete awe of it and happy to be able to see a Jurassic Park film on screen. And I loved the film. My uncle was like, oh, it's very different from the book. And at the time, I hadn't read the book. Like, I was going to read it afterwards. So I didn't know what he was saying. Like, I had kind of run through the book or whatever. But I hadn't read it. I read it after I saw the movie.
Yeah.
So he was like, oh, it's very different from the book. There's some scenes, I was like, oh, okay. And he wasn't a fan of, like, the San Diego scene, which I know there's a lot of people that aren't a fan of it, but I love that scene.
Mm-hmm.
That actually made the movie for me.
Yeah, no, agreed. And that's one thing too. Like, I'd seen the book before. I'd read the book actually before seeing the film, and watching it on screen, it sort of didn't really. I didn't really dwell on the fact that there's stuff here that's not in the book. Going in, looking at some of the promotional artwork or promotional photos with Ludlow and crouching down beside the compy in the cage and stuff like that, I'm thinking, well, okay, is that Richard Levine? Has he got a compy in a cage? What's going on here? Trying to piece together how this novel's looking in these production photos. But once I actually got in there and watched it, it was probably a few days afterwards where I sort of sat there and dwelled on it and gone, okay, this was different, that was different, and as you said, definitely the San Diego sequence at the end there, which again, Dave, you and I have talked about how much this franchise needs to have dinosaurs on the mainland. It was natural progression. It needed to happen. It's a pity it was a sort of a little bit of a tacked-on thing at the end of The Lost World, but it was definitely good to see a T-Rex rampaging down some city streets.
Yeah, and we always get that comparison to Godzilla and whatnot, but everything's always going to be compared to something else.
Exactly.
Even Spielberg like made fun of it by having a bunch of those guys. They were saying it. I think they're Japanese, and they were running away, and they're saying like in their native language, we ran away, we left Japan for this or something.
Yeah, this is why we left Japan.
Yeah, exactly. So it's hilarious. Like he knew he knew people were gonna relate it to that, and he made a joke about it.
Yeah.
And I mean, I was just like happy as hell as a kid to see something like that, because you kind of see where Spielberg was going in the Raptor kitchen scene, where he was like, he even said it in interviews where he wanted to put in something that we see every day, or have dinosaurs next to it to make you feel like, no, you're not safe even in your kitchen from these things. So it was cool to see a T-Rex in the city just rampaging, because it's like, wow, that's what would happen. You know what I mean? If these animals got onto our mainland, they'd go crazy. And and in the time being, we would panic, because especially when people knowing, like, we've never knew dinosaurs were around, and then just all of a sudden wake up one day and just see one like next to your window, like that kid Benjamin.
Yeah.
I think I would react somewhat in the same way, not really scared, just kind of like,
what the hell?
There's a dinosaur in my backyard.
Yeah. The Lost World definitely brought the idea of dinosaurs to the suburbs for me. I mean, for the first Jurassic Park was always about you're stuck on an island and the dinosaurs are stuck on that island, but then you had the Lost World and suddenly you can wake up and there's a T-Rex staring out your bedroom window.
It adds a good scale to it too. Like it's a buck, isn't it? That's on the yeah. He's biting the traffic light, and he goes and runs alongside the bus, and like these are everyday things we see in our everyday life. And here's a T-Rex scaled nicely beside it and interacting with it as well.
Yeah, no, definitely. That was one thing that we were always trying, when you're watching the movie. There's one scene the other day that I just noticed. I'm like, no, that isn't the buck. That's the female. And it's cool to have that it was the dad that was just running amok through the city, you know?
Yep.
And you get people that watch the movie all the time and don't really know the difference. It's like kind of it's us that always know. I correct people all the time when they say something. Oh yes, yeah, that T-Rex in Jurassic Park, he was very fierce. I'm like, she. They're like, oh, what do you mean? No, it's she. It's a girl.
Yeah.
It's a female.
Yeah.
Oh, well, or the one, yes, that one with the scars on its face. She was very angry. No, that's the dad. Like, I could be that pretentious Jurassic Park fan sometimes.
Very good.
I'll be back in 5 or 6 days.
No, you'll be back in 5 or 6 pieces.
The animals won't even know they're there. Very low impact, strictly observation and documentation.
Briefly, where's Lost World fall in the franchise? Personally, I have trouble with it against Jurassic Park as number one.
Yeah, I have that trouble too.
Yeah, Dave, where do you see it?
It kind of teeters between Jurassic Park and The Lost World for me.
Yeah.
I mean, there's parts of Jurassic Park that just blow me away, and then there's The Lost World, which is, of course, my own true love.
Yep. Yeah.
I would have to say that Lost World is my favorite. Like, it's when I say that, it's not like it's a million miles away from Jurassic Park, like in the difference, but it is my favorite. I just love the movie, and I love Jurassic Park too, but Lost World just everything that goes on in that movie, just knowing that these animals were roaming free with no fences, and there's 2 T-Rexes, and T-Rexes are my favorite dinosaurs, and I know that's cliche, and and a lot of people like T-Rex, but I really do truly love Tyrannosaurids. So, whenever the new studies are coming up with Tyrannosaurs, I'm always reading about them, and it like I said, Rexy in Jurassic Park was the reason, like the one that made me fall in love with dinosaurs as a whole. So having 2 of them, and then 2 adult Tyrannosaurs and 1 baby in it, and the movie showed that like dinosaurs were parents, and it showed that they worked in these groups, family groups, and it showed that they weren't these like savage creatures, and it also showed the savagery of man when we were trying to capture them, when they dropped that Parasaurolophus in that one scene, and that movie is just incredible, and just all the stuff that it throws in there, and I loved it for all those reasons. Like I said, one of my main reasons was it was going with the science of the day, and science of the day was they were starting to say that dinosaurs took care of their young, and that's why they advanced so much. They were on the planet for millions of years. We've been on the planet for what, like not like a smidget of time compared to them.
2 days.
And we're like slowly destroying it.
Yeah.
I don't even know how long we'll still be here. I think dinosaurs are gonna end up beating us on like the timetable of Earth, So it was just the movie as a whole is just amazing. And I have no idea why some people haven't seen it or that don't like it and gets the bad rap. I never.
It's one very interesting thing, sort of looking at social media over the last, say, 6 months. Early on, a lot of, you get people, it's the one with the gymnast scene, or it's the one with the trailer scene, or whatever else, and that's about all people know. But sort of just the fans coming out of the woodwork, I don't know if it's just that seeing more people post about it with the anniversary coming up or whatever else, but it seems like more people are sort of coming out and saying, hey, yes, this is actually a good film. It ranks up there in the series with the original. And it's got some awesome pieces. Like, I still believe the score is better than the original.
Definitely.
And we'll get to that in a bit. But I think it just does that little bit more than what Jurassic Park does for the franchise, for the characters, for the animals themselves. Again, these are animals in the wild. They're not monsters that we see in Jurassic Park 3. They're just trying to survive. And we're there to interfere, and as Malcolm says, life finds a way. We fail.
Seem like you have a shred of common sense. What the hell are you doing here? Someone on this island is the greatest predator that ever lived. Second greatest predator must take him down.
Looking at some of the characters, Jay, favourite character? You got a favourite character from the film?
Out of the franchise, I would say Malcolm. Malcolm's my absolute favourite. But when it comes to Lost World, Malcolm is still my favourite. But out of that cast, I would have to go with Roland. I love his role. It was awesome.
Definitely. Roland's my favourite too. Mm-hmm. I mean, he's just this great person. He's got great depth as a character. He's a noble person. As we see in the deleted scene, he defends that waitress from those hunters or just whatever. He helps people regardless of what they do to him. He's just a genuinely good person, and he's not afraid to show that.
Yeah,
exactly. And it's funny because I'm completely against all that like big game hunting. I'm not for that whatsoever, especially with endangered species. But within this movie, I think I'd become a hypocrite because I do love his character, and as much as I wouldn't agree him hunting down the dinosaurs whatsoever, just that knowing that like this guy is that much of a like like crazy dude to go after a T-Rex, you know?
Yeah.
Like when he has that speech where he's like, the second greatest predator must take him down. I'm like, man, this guy really has some screws on him that he's going after the male too, you know? So it's he's just an awesome character to be thrown into here.
Yeah, and that's cutscene aside. When we get his first introduction, when the hunters arrive on the island, and he's talking to Ludlow about you can keep your fee. I just want the right to hunt one of the Tyrannosaurs. It's just you can sit up here, you can set up a buffet wherever you want. Just if you don't want to listen to me, I've gone too many rich safaris with rich dentists. That he's seen there.
Listening to any more suicidal ideas?
Okay.
Okay. Vroom, there's that Humvee.
That Humvee's not driving again after that scene.
Yeah, definitely. That was crazy.
This is as good a place as any for base camp. That's first priority after we're finished. I want it up and running in 30 minutes. That's half an hour. Understood? Over.
Cancel that order.
What? Why?
This is a game trail, Mr. Ludlow. Carnivores hunt on game trails. Do you want to set up base camp or a buffet?
Let's find a new spot, shall we? Over and out.
Peter, if you want me to run your little camping trip, there are two conditions. Firstly, I'm in charge, and when I'm not around, Dieter is. All you need to do is sign the checks, tell us we're doing a good job, and open your case of scotch when we have a good day. Second condition, my fee. You can keep it. All I want in exchange for my services is the right to hunt one of the Tyrannosaurs. A male, a buck only. How and why are my business. Now, if you don't like either of those two conditions, you're on your own. So go ahead, set up base camp right here, or in a swamp, or in the middle of a wreck's nest, for all I care. But I've been on too many safaris with rich dentists to listen to any more suicidal ideas. Okay.
Sort of, it makes you wonder later on the film where Nick gets to his gun and takes out the bullets. If at that point where he's got it up and going to fire at the T-Rex, if he would have a moment of hesitation and say, "Well, this thing's been chasing me and hunting me for the last day or two. It deserves the right to live," and shoot it with a tranquilizer dart instead.
Actually, that's what he does in the original script ending. He and Ludlow go to the nest in order to recover it, the male T-Rex, but the male actually gets one up on Roland, and Roland's know what, this guy's the superior hunter, I'm gonna let him live. Yep. And Ludlow goes through that and ends up making a bunch of noise, and the T-Rex grabs him and takes him back to the nest. He dies Louis Sache's death from the novel.
Oh, okay.
To the babies.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's
it's in the original pre-San Diego.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's definitely an awesome character, and I think, I mean, not to take away from the other characters, because I swear all the characters in that movie are just so interesting. Julianne Moore's character, Sarah Harding, is just awesome. Like she's one of my favorite strong female characters from the franchise. Ellie and her are my top favorite female characters.
Sarah! 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 Sarah Harding!
How many Sarahs do you think are on this island?
Sarah! Sarah!
It's too late. She's already there.
Oh, please. Don't treat me like I'm a grad student. I've worked around predators since I was 20 years old. Lions, jackals, hyenas, you.
After them, it's Lex. Lex is one of my favorites too. And it just every character in there has such a drive to be there. Every one of them has.
None of them seem wasted. They all have a part to play.
Exactly.
Even someone
especially
even Dieter or
like Nick Van Owen, his whole
Nick Van Owen.
Yeah. I did that without even thinking about it. you hear that for so many years. You do that because what is it? Especially that scene in the village. I think I've seen that scene apart from the movie as a whole so many times, because like I said in one of the last two Amber Fine episodes, I used to watch these videos and pause them and watch them and pause them because I, like, as a kid, I used to build all these, like, sets and stuff.
You mentioned one a couple in Nigel's episode 98 of the Jurassic Park podcast that you'd actually made the operations building set, or it's like the building out of cardboard and that.
Yeah, I used to make all that stuff when I was a kid. It was one of the reasons I also love this movie, because that's when I actually started getting into, like, making my own dioramas and painting dinosaurs and getting more into incorporating my love for art into Jurassic Park. And I mean, now it's just all over the place. Either I'm in, because I'm a tattoo apprentice, so I'm learning tattoo. That's what my career path is going towards. But I always wanted to work for, like, Stan Winston or do special effects or do concept art and whatnot. And so I have my career path of tattooist, but my passion in art is with dinosaurs and with Jurassic Park. I draw so much stuff Jurassic Park related all the time, and it stems from like this movie. Like I drew dinosaurs when Jurassic Park was around, but when this movie came around, I started like branching out my stuff. I started customizing the vehicles and coloring the dinosaurs, make them look more like the movie, because I always felt like it was cool what we got, but at the same time, it's like, why didn't we get it this certain color, or why isn't it this something, you know?
Yeah.
And I get it. I get how toy companies work now, but back then I wanted to make my own, and so I made these sets and stuff from like watching the VHS and pausing the VHS and pausing the VHS back and forth. So that Nick Van Owen scene, I've seen it so many times because the village had such this draw to it, you know, like this town in the middle of crazy dinosaur jungle, and it's like, what? And you're trying to realize what's going on there, who's working there, what are they doing there, you know?
Mm-hmm.
It's sort of a funny callback too to the Stegosaurus scene where Nick's yelling out Sarah Harding and Malcolm says to him, "How many Sarahs do you think are on this island?" Here he is, Nick Van Owen. How many Nicks do you think are on this island?
Yeah, I always felt like he did that on purpose.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, when I was mapping the worker village for Jurassic Park Legacy, I only really started out with like a handful of kind of like crappy screenshots, and it was just me building off these screenshots, and it wasn't until I found the sliders episodes that I was really actually able to start really getting these great great shots of the worker village that I was able to start mapping it out. So, well, you can still find the map up on the Parkpedia, the Jurassic Park Wiki, and of course Jurassicpedia, which is the replacement for the Jurassic Park Legacy Encyclopedia.
Nick Van Owen!
Sarah Harding! How many Sarahs do you think are on this island?
Do you want to go into favourite scene real quick?
Yeah. My favorite scene in the Lost World, it's tough. I would have to say my favorite scene in the Lost World it's kind of a fight between three scenes. Two of them are T-Rex scenes, and one of them is a raptor scene. And I think you guys know which raptor scene, because it's like one of the most awesome scenes in the entire franchise. I don't think anybody's been able to get there with the raptors like this scene has. The long grass.
Yeah.
That scene that put fear in me as a kid to go anywhere near any long grass. And I always would say, like, I'm not afraid of I never was a kid that was afraid of dinosaurs, but that long grass scene made what could be in that grass. Like, knowing raptors were in the movie, what could be in that, like, these like, long grass areas, you know? Is there like crazy predators in there or whatnot? Either that one, like, I can't really say which is my favorite out of three, but I would say like the long grass, the San Diego scene. I love that scene, especially when he's rampaging through the street and when he bites that that traffic light and he's like pulling it down, and then he hits that bus right into an old Blockbuster or Hollywood Video or whatever. And the trailer scene. I love the trailer scene.
Yep. You know? It's a lot of that stuff, like the bus in San Diego. It's all practical stuff working with a CG creature.
Yeah.
The trailers had the two T-Rexes either side of it on their gimbals and everything else, but it's still the physical trailer sitting there being rocked by these animatronics, and what they had to do to make that bus in San Diego implode on itself, jump up on two wheels.
Yeah, I remember seeing something like that behind the scenes. They used to have this show for kids on like Discovery Kids back in the day, and it was like behind the scene of your favorite movies or something, right?
Yep.
And I remember I'd watch that show every Saturday morning, just waiting for them to talk about Lost World. Like, I didn't care what other movie was on there. when I'd watch, and there was like, because you know now you get to see like what's gonna be on next week or whatever. Back then you really couldn't, so it's like you kind of had to just wait. So I watched like the show, and it would say like, and I'd go through the segments, and then once I saw it wasn't really gonna talk about Lost World, I'd be like, nah, I don't care. I think the only episodes that I watched fully through were when they talked about Independence Day, like how they made it, and Lost World. They finally got to the Lost World at one point, and I was so happy that when they showed that scene, they're like, oh, we used this bus and whatnot. It was just the bus scene. That's all they talked about, because it was like these little segments. They would show you one scene of the movie, how they did it, and that's it.
Yeah.
That's cool.
And yeah, I can't remember what the name of the show was, but it was on Discovery Kids. It was like the special effects behind movies or something. I can't remember what it was called, but yeah.
Hey, when the adult sees that it's us once again with his baby, isn't it going to be like you? You know, I think there may be some angry recognition.
You need to head off now.
Yeah, I gotta go watch Alien Covenant. I promised. You guys probably have seen on my Instagram, DC Villain. He's like my best friend.
Yep.
Like, yeah. So he's the one that's got me a lot of those Lost World stuff, like the puppets for my birthday.
Yep.
Nice.
Yeah, he's the man.
Yeah. All right. Lastly, one question before you do
Sure,
go.
yes.
If we're just about to hit the 20th anniversary. Is there something Universal hasn't released yet that you'd love to see? We've just got the score redone, thanks to La La Land Records. But is there anything you'd love to see from the studio to celebrate the Lost World? Whether it's some more behind-the-scenes stuff or...
Yeah, I would love to see more behind-the-scenes stuff, but not so much more as like something they... for them to release, something like the movie related. The one thing that I have a little bit upset about or disappointed is that we didn't get here in the States. I know over there across the pond that they're having a Jurassic Park and Lost World like in a theater special.
Yeah.
But here, I would have loved for them to release like the 20, being 20 years, they did the 3D for Jurassic Park, but they're not doing anything whatsoever for the Lost World, and it's kind of disappointing.
Yeah, true.
I'm very disappointed by that, because I haven't seen that film in the theaters since 97.
Yeah.
I saw it when I was 97. I was a kid, so it wasn't easy to go. For me, it wasn't that easy to go to the theater as it is. I didn't really start going to the theater like frequently till I was a teenager with friends, but as a little kid it was hard for my parents to take me to see a movie. They were very busy.
Yep.
Yeah, so I got to see that movie once in the movie theater. I didn't get to see it twice or three times like I've seen. I got to see Jurassic Park 3 once by choice. I didn't want to see more than that. And Jurassic World I saw a couple of times. I very much enjoyed that movie, so I went to see it with friends a couple of times. But you know what I mean, Jurassic Park I saw once for the 3D release, and Lost World since '97. So it's not fresh in my mind, the theater experience of that movie, and I would love to have that feeling again. To hear that roar of the male T-Rex, like just going crazy in the theaters, to see the big screen, that bus being thrown into the Hollywood video. So that's what I would like from Universal.
Yeah.
And I feel that with Jurassic World, they acknowledge a lot with Jurassic Park, and we know from like the Masrani side and certain things that Lost World is still in canon, but the way that they kind of like brush it off with Jurassic World is disappointing with me. And how Universal is treating the properties in a separate light now, and how we have now Jurassic Park separated from Jurassic World. And I know Jurassic World's like the new trilogy, but you mean they acknowledge a lot of Jurassic Park, but they don't acknowledge a lot of Lost World. And I know some fans feel the same way with Jurassic Park 3, because there are fans of Jurassic Park 3 out there. Everyone knows in the community I'm not one of them. I'm not. It's my least favorite of the franchise. I don't hate it, but I'm not a big fan of it.
Yeah, and that's fine. The four movies, we have our favourites and our least favourites.
Exactly.
With Jurassic World, it's sort of okay. Where are we now? 18 years removed from the San Diego incident, so you're probably not going to have anyone walking around the park going, "Hey, I remember when this T-Rex or whatever else rampaged San Diego." But hopefully, with Jeff Goldblum coming back for Jurassic World 2, whatever it's going to be called, something, just a callback, something.
There has to be some type of connection. They can't just be like, oh, Jurassic Park. No. Yeah. There has to be some type of connection where he's going to be like, yeah, well, I mean, like I messed up my leg in '93 because of these things, and then '97 I was chasing after one in San Diego. Just that alone would make fans of Lost World be like, yes, thank you, that'd be awesome, But I feel like Bayona's taken it really close to the book. I think he's gonna, because he said he was like looking through the book like vigorously. So I feel like he's gonna bring that dark tone that Crichton threw into Lost World and Jurassic Park. So I'm excited to see what he's gonna do with it. You know?
Yep. It is exciting times ahead. Yep.
After the accident in the park, Hurricane Carissa wiped out our facility on Site B. Call it an act of God.
Thank you, Jay, for joining us. You want to plug Twitter and all that? Where we can,
sure.
Find you?
You guys can find me on Instagram at JJurassic, which is JAYE_JURASSICK. And you can find me on the same name on Twitter. And all I can say is get ready for Jurassic June, because I have a lot of stuff coming.
Nice.
The Etsy store that I have is gonna be, it's little by little, it's gonna be loaded up with cool goodies.
Great.
I'm working hard on it.
Can't wait. All right, thank you very much for joining us here for this special episode of the Lost World Minute. Thanks for joining us, and we'll chat to you later.
All right, thank you guys for letting me be on here, and I would love to come back to do another one.
Yep, we'll definitely plan it. Yep.
All right, thank you guys.
All right, see you, man.
You're welcome. See you.
Yep.
Take a break. 5 minutes.
Something is coming. A fan podcast 65 million years in the making. Jurassic Park Minute. Now available on iTunes. And visit us at facebook.com/Jurassic Park Minute.
Who's hurt? What do you need?
We need rope.
Rope? What? Anything else?
Yeah. 3 double cheeseburgers with everything. No onions on mine.
I don't know. We'll turn it over.
Right. Let's carry on. Everybody, up. Come on. Up.
Favourite characters, I'll just rehash on this pretty quickly. I love the Sarah character. I wish that she could have been more closer to the novel version. But I love Malcolm in this.
Sarah was just a badass.
Yeah. I love Malcolm in this being the he's been here, he's seen the dinosaurs before, and he's sort of that voice in the back of everyone's head.
Definitely.
Yeah, favourite dinosaur in the film, as we heard before, Jay's definitely was the T-Rex. Have you got a favourite one? Favourite dinosaur? Whether
T-Rex as well.
T-Rex as well. Yep.
Yeah.
I think just taking the original female T-Rex and making the bull T-Rex and sort of making the colours that more of a jungle green, more camouflage. Where the Jurassic Park T-Rex should have been green as well, but it wasn't grown there. It was sort of engineered, and yes, the first two T-Rexes would have had to have been engineered as well, but I just love that colour change. It sort of suits suits the wild more, and it's definitely great to see. And I'll still say it now, the Velociraptors in this film are my favourite raptors in the entire franchise.
Oh, definitely. Especially the males.
Yeah. I'm sort of sad that we don't get as much of them as in the other films.
That too. Or those male velociraptors, especially in Jurassic Park 3, that was my biggest want or hope, I should say, is that I was kind of disappointed about that when I saw it in the theater. was that they did not bring back those tiger stripe velociraptors, and because they were just, you watch behind the scenes footage of them testing out the animatronics, and they're just beautiful,
Yeah. No, I haven't been really looking at the Chronicle busts, but I think the Raptor, the male Raptor bust, when they finally put one of them out, I think I'll be jumping on board with that, because it's just, I think more so because it sort of takes what we read in the original novel and finally brings it out into the film. I think also too because the animatronics are just so good. We'll get in later minutes when we get there to the village and the long grass, and just the way those animatronics are working in the village set and the sequence there. It's definitely good.
Don't go into the long grass! Not into the long grass!
Favourite set piece or scene from the film? What's up there with your favourite scenes from the film?
Jay, this is really hard, but for me, I'd have to say everything between the time of the that temporary base camp on the dried up riverbed, then the T-Rex chase in the ravine, then the and this is all my favorite scene, this entire sequence, and then the long grass, and then the worker village. It's that whole segment right there is just does it for me.
Yeah,
that's everything I'd ever want, and I just want so much more of that.
You got the score playing, the track behind it, and then when you get to the worker village as well. But we're going to get into the score in a little bit here. But definitely the worker village, everything that happens there. I love the trailer sequence is great. There's some issues. I have some of the same issues with it as I do with the T-Rex breakout. Just Spielberg needing to take that extra cut in a couple of places. But and we talked about last minute too, the just the barge with the vehicles arriving on the island. Eddie and Malcolm having a little banter, and then the vehicles sort of trekking up the valley. I would love to see another 5 minutes of them going from that valley to the cliff top where they decide to make base camp. Maybe a tracking device in the trailer pointing into that section of the island where Sarah is, and they can go on foot to find her. But
well, that was actually a deleted scene, and we'll get to that when we get to that minute.
Yep.
We can talk about that.
Yep.
Yeah, but my favorite set piece, my favorite set that they built would have to have been the temporary base camp or the worker village. The worker village is awesome, but I love that temporary base camp on the dried up riverbed. I mean, they do such a good job with the foliage. They do such a good job with making this set look like it's a real, actual on-location thing. Even though you can, nowadays with HD, you can kind of see the matte painting in the background that makes it look like they're on a ridge.
Well, it was only
other than that,
it was only about a year ago where like set photos come out of that Hunter's Camp scene, and you could see the trees sort of stopped 20 or 30 feet off the ground, and it was just wireframe and the top of a set. And you realise that it's in a studio and not on location or outside. Like that waterfall. The camera pans across that waterfall as vehicles are reversing in and they're making camp. It just sets that scene off as being out in the elements. And it's just one of those little touches that works so well.
Oh, definitely.
I think I should tell you guys. Hammond told me these people might show up. I thought we'd be finished by the time they got started, but in case they weren't, he did send a backup plan.
What backup plan?
Me?
Favorite on-location spot would have to have been the game trail, just because I love how atmospheric it is. You got the redwoods surrounding the edges of it, and then you got this dusty plain, and the trucks are all driving around, blowing up dust. You got dust flying everywhere, and then you got the dinosaurs kicking up dust themselves, and it creates this whole atmosphere of something that's wild and. It's just great. I remember when I was a kid, there was a cornfield next to me, and at the end, when the farmer was done with plowing up the corn, he would create up this dust, and I'd go out in the cornfield and I'd go fossil hunting and looking for dinosaurs because there was this dusty plain that had trees surrounding it, just like the Lost World.
Yep.
And I actually got to visit that. Half of it was filmed on a private ranch in Fieldbrook, California, and then half of it was filmed in Patrick's Point State Park in the Redwoods. And I've been to the Patrick's Point part of it in the Redwoods back in 2014. And it was really cool to be able to climb up on the same rock that Julianne Moore and Richard Schiff and Jeff Goldblum were sitting on, and be able to walk down this plane where they watched the vehicles. We got that great pan of the vehicles going along the edge of that cliff chasing the dinosaurs.
Yeah, and it's one thing that I just love about this franchise. Places like that where you can actually go. They exist. Mm-hmm. They're not a green screen. They're not something else. You can go there. As you said, you've been there. The creek bed from the Stegosaur stuff as well, and Dita's Creek as well was all filmed there in the Redwoods. It's actually interesting to think about now with what we know about Jurassic World only having a month and a half of filming on Hawaii. Really, looking back at the franchise, Jurassic Park was probably the most filmed on the Hawaiian Islands, whereas it's been a bit of a steady decline since then.
Yeah.
In The Lost World, you've got Caffey's Beach, which also doubled for the end scene with the T-Rex and the other dinosaurs with Life Finds a Way. You've got the barge arriving on the island where we're at now after minutes, and then the vehicles going up the valley. Then it cuts back to California with all that redwood stuff, the game trail, the hunters, and then you get the trek, and the trailers going up the cliff. All that's in California. Then you've got a short segment of the survivors trekking through Hawaii, and then it's straight back to California, going through in the grass, and the worker village set, and then everything else is suburbs of LA for the San Diego stuff. So there's not a hell of a lot of stuff that's actually filmed on the Hawaiian Islands for The Lost World, and it's just sort of you're on the opposite side of the country, but you've got those locations there, and you can go and just sit there and feel the dinosaurs ran down this game trail or stuff like that. It's just something little old me over here down here in the bottom of the world can't really experience. But yeah, I definitely loved the Worker Village stuff, and again, yeah, the trailers and the approach to the island. The score. This was going to be a deep dark hole. I started listening to the score again just to make notes, and I started making notes about every track, so I had to stop. One of the issues I had with the Jurassic Park score, there's some great stuff in there, but it seems very put together from other stuff that come before. It doesn't all feel like a Jurassic score, but the way the drums, and the people always go on about the bongo drums of the Lost World score, but there's piano, there's flutes, there's horn section. Some of the horn section in this is just awesome.
Like, for example, in the when they're entering the worker village and they have that horn kind of blaring in the background, and it almost sounds like some kind of like a triceratops or something dying.
Yeah.
It just has that noise to it that sounds like a huge dying beast.
Yeah, and that's the raptors appear, and it's sort of, you get about 9 seconds of that slow horn playing. I would have loved to have a full track of that, then have a second track of when they appear, and you start really getting that drum work, and that as the raptors appear and start chasing the people through the buildings. That's sort of starting there. When Nick goes into the village as well, you just get that slow music, sort of background eerie. And there's the sound effects. I'd love to get my hands on them. Just sort of not chains, but just like old rusty things swinging in the wind and stuff like that. You just sort of get playing in the background, and you get it there. You get it earlier on with the island's voice, which was the prologue on the original DVD. We get there's a couple of callbacks to Jurassic Park, 2 of them in the worker village here, where it's sort of just that slow flute of the, I think it's a flute, of the Jurassic Park fanfare, But just as a sort of a callback, but as a dream, almost a dreamlike state. And I just love all that sort of stuff. It's if they did go back to Nublar for the second movie and not to Sauna and have that sort of abandoned park feel, then I'd imagine some of that music would be what would play there. I'm hoping for some of the Jurassic World music to sort of be played slowly in that if we do return to Nublar, to Jurassic World in the new film. There's a lot of the great tracks. Again, more so for this over the Jurassic Park soundtrack, or just more of the tracks are sort of tick the boxes for me. You get a lot of people that are on the Ludlow steals the Nedry steals the embryos as being some of the high points of Jurassic Park soundtrack, apart from the main fanfare, which doesn't. It's a weird track.
It almost has like a Mission Impossible theme to it, which of course John Williams did the soundtrack to that as well.
Yeah. Yep.
No,
The first. Yeah. The first one was 97, or was it 96?
What?
Mission Impossible.
Oh, I don't know. I'm not a fan of that.
Okay. So he wasn't too far removed from it anyway. But,
no.
Yeah. It might have been a song he'd sort of wrote and thought, I'll try it here and then can tweak it later. I think another one too is Visitor in San Diego. When they get to San Diego and you get that boom, 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 and just all the way, all the way from you get the sort of the flyover of Jurassic Park San Diego with again another little theme of the Jurassic Park fanfare is there as well, and all the way up until the Rex gets sealed back in the ship and Ludlow's demise. It's just great. It's a great energetic score. I just love it.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have to say that besides the main theme in the first Jurassic Park, the two standout themes for me were the opening titles, the dun, and where they got the drums and the choir going together there.
Yeah.
And then also Finding Dr. Malcolm, where it's Incident at Isla Nublar. It's the second half of that track on the soundtrack, but it's got this really fast-paced kind of like really tenseness to it. And it seems something you'd find in The Lost World.
Well, I noticed that when when La La Land done the re-releases of both soundtracks, and the Isla Nublar incident was added to the Jurassic Park score, and it's very which is the raptor escape or the raptor attack at the start of Jurassic Park. It feels very Lost World, just what happens there. But that score, from arrival to the island. I think it's about 8 minutes and 20 seconds, or 26 seconds of just them in the helicopter, arrival at the island, the Brachiosaur, and then ends with them approaching the visitor center. I think that's my favourite.
Yeah. That's definitely
score.
one of my favorite tracks. I'll just, out of the blue, sometimes just listen to that track.
Yep.
But I also have to say that another good theme that's used in The Lost World that's not really used anywhere else, Don Davis kind of brought it back, but he tweaked it to make it his own in The Lost World. I'm sorry, Jurassic Park 3. There's this leitmotif using like a pan flute or something for the raptors. You kind of hear it every time the raptors are mentioned in The Lost World.
Yeah.
And then you hear it right before Dieter gets attacked by the compies in The Lost World, where all you hear is the rustling in the bushes, and you kind of get this pan flute noise that it reminds me a lot of the those last kind of flute notes that you hear in the original theme on the soundtrack. Those those I don't know, I can't do it justice, but it's those three kind of notes that John Williams brought back and created a leitmotif out of for the Raptors.
Yeah. I'll try and vocalize it here. If it doesn't work, I'll delete it. You sort of get the sort of stuff with the compies as well.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, it's probably not that whole compy, or I can't remember, or the compy's attack, like it's called, where you just get that shrill flute and that sort of noise. It's sort of it's
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, it's a bit different to the rest of the soundtrack, and it's sort of the one track I will skip. Not so much of just disliking it. Just it's not as much keyed into the rest of the soundtrack.
But I think it really works for the compies, because the compies also have that kind of shrill shriek that they make, and so the soundtrack reflects that. And I think that's a really good leitmotif for the Compsognathus.
And they're so small. How can they hurt anyone? Well, yeah, we're about to see that happen. Yeah. Yep. So, anyway, that's anything else on the score you want to bring up? We'll probably get to it more when we get to future minutes.
Oh, something, and this was in the soundtracks. The game trail always has this deleted music that John Williams wrote but didn't make it in the movie. In the movie, it's just it's a remix of the Lost World theme, and I really wish that we would have gotten that on any soundtrack, because the only version I have of it is ripped from the movie. And so that was like my major disappointment with John Williams Collector's Edition soundtrack that they released for The Lost World and Jurassic Park, was that they did not include the film version of the music for the game trail.
Well, and that's one of the things. You go through the tracks, and as soon as you get past arrival at the island, even when the helicopters arrive, it goes in. I think it's the Trek, which is pretty much straight up a score from when they're in San Diego. It's not an on-island score, and then it cuts from there to where were they? I think the hunters' camp, or setting up camp and cutting the fuel line. So it's sort of that whole sequence of them chasing down animals and out on the game trail isn't on the score. or isn't titled as its own track on the score. Because it's also, I was just watching it before we started watching this, recording as well, and when the group's making their way through the island, just before they go back from the fields into the jungle game, before they have their break, you get that boom, 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 start to play softly in the background, and it just stops when that's the start of the Lost World theme. Like, it just, the way it's all cut up, it's just weird.
Yeah, and another theme that never made it into the soundtrack or any of the soundtrack versions ever released was where they're all standing around, discussing what they're going to do next, whether after Roland rescues them from the edge of the cliff. And they're standing around in the wrecked ruins of the Indian camp, and they're talking about, okay, so this is our options, where do we go from here? And there's some really, really cool music in that scene that you can hear in, like, film rips, but unfortunately the film rips also include the voices kind of echoing in the background.
Oh, no.
And so you don't get the full effect of that awesome, beautiful music, and that's where where one of the Raptor leitmotifs come in. Is you get that pan flute whistling as Ludlow brings up the Raptors as being an issue if they go to the worker village.
Yep. Well, you get that same sort of flute too doing the Jurassic Park theme when he's sitting there and starting to talk about Jurassic Park San Diego and how they got the assets sitting there too in that briefing scene we get at the start of that camp scene. But sort of listening to what went on behind the scenes with that whole new soundtrack and the way that a lot of the score sort of recordings were deteriorating on shelves, and that I'd be surprised if anything other than what we got is even salvageable anymore. A lot of that stuff's probably already lost to the elements, which is sad.
I also wanted to mention that while we're on sound, the sound design for The Lost World is probably one of my favorites, where you got like some of the most creative sound mixing that they've done in a movie, I think. Such as in the male T-Rex, they didn't use any of the sounds that they used for the female T-Rex. I think they basically used some of the bass sounds, like I think they used the elephant, but that's about it. They recorded all like baby elephant-like sounds, according to Rosengrant, I think it was.
Yep.
Was the sound mixer. And he said that they used all baby elephant-like sounds, so they recorded pigs and boars and weird Costa Rican animals, and they mixed it into sounding this deeper, more gravelly, kind of more terrifying version of the T-Rex for the male.
And it's one of those things, like, the sound design Jurassic Park was excellent and made that movie what it is. But that was Brachiosaur, Raptors, T-Rex, Gallimimus, and the Dilophosaur. Where now you've got Stegosaur, you got baby Stegosaur, you got two T-Rexes, you got the baby T-Rex. You got the Raptors again. You got the Hadrosaurs and all the stuff on the game trail. Just again blowing it out of the park with what they went out to do. It's just great. And again, lot of the stuff we get from the Raptors in the village, I just absolutely love.
And of course, the roar of the Triceratops as it trashes the camp.
Yep.
Has been used in so much stuff. I mean, it was used in 1997 special edition of Star Wars for the Banthas. It's been used in other Star Wars media that I've seen. It's been used in for roars of so many different creatures I've seen all over the place. So it's almost become like as iconic in a way as the original T-Rex were, that is of course used in so much.
You're the Star Wars fan. What come first? The hunters hanging on to the nooses around the Parasaurolophus's neck, or the speeder swerving to miss the rearing animal in Mos Eisley in New Hope? Because that was added for the special edition too, wasn't it, in '97?
It was probably. I think it probably came at the same time because both used Skywalker Sound, which was a division of Lucasfilm. So both Spielberg used Skywalker Sound to do the sound effects for Jurassic Park and The Lost World, and of course they returned for. They do like 90% of Hollywood's sound effects.
Yep.
So they probably recorded them at the same time and then just released them in different cuts.
That's not the problem.
What is? What is the problem?
Velociraptors. Our infrared show that their nesting sites are concentrated in the island interior, which is why we plan to keep to the outer rim.
Wait a minute. What's that? Velociraptor. Carnivore. Pack hunter. About 2 meters tall, long snout, binocular vision, strong dexterous forearms, and killing claws on both feet.
Alright, I suppose lastly before we leave for this recording, we heard Jay's comments before about what he'd like to see from Universal with the 20th anniversary. I tend to agree with him. I didn't get to see the Jurassic Park 3D 20th anniversary. I wish I had, but I'd love to see Lost World back in theatres.
Definitely.
I think one other thing too is, and we'll get to this when we get to the minutes ahead, but we've been talking off record about Sliders and how that set, the Lost World, the Working Village set, was used up until a year after Jurassic Park finished production, and it's still mainly there dressed as it stands inside the fence perimeter anyway. A lot of the jungle's gone from outside, obviously, but it's been there. It's there for a year, and we got one guy that jumped the fence and went and took photos in there. There's got to be more. There's got to be more production stuff of that. On the bonus features, you got one of the I don't remember the name. One of the guys talking about how they had to custom make all the vehicles, and then it just goes on to something else. Like, no, we rewind. You had to customize all these vehicles. There's got to be photos. You've posted here before, and there's photos out there of the Mercedes in undercoat getting all the bars and that added to them. There's the same sort of shots as same sort of shots as the RVs, sort of in undercoat before they get their final camouflage paint, with getting all the bars and that stuff fitted to it. Like, there's got to be more photos of that stuff, and that's the stuff I really want to see come out. If it's another book, a table book or something, even just behind the scenes of the Jurassic franchise, even if it's got Jurassic Park 3 in there as well, just the first trilogy, behind the scenes stuff that hasn't been released yet. I want to see it.
I would also like to see more behind the scenes stuff. It's out there. I know it's out there. I've seen like the shitty resolution, kind of just outline of stuff that I know I have not seen. And I'd also like to see like high-res scans, all the alternate concept art. I know Stan Winston Studios has a whole book full of it.
Yeah.
I've seen photos of Stan posing with this book. It has all the alternate concept arts that they've not released. And of course, I'd love to see more better resolution scans of all the maquettes, and of course more behind-the-scenes photos of the worker village. And of course, I'd like to see the movie back in theaters. That'd be a dream. I never actually got to see the movie in theaters. I was too young. My parents thought it was a phase.
Yep.
I'd love to see other behind-the-scenes photos of the sets that I know exist out there. And, of course, I'd love to see a full restored like director's cut or something like that of The Lost World and Jurassic Park, of scenes that there are so many scenes out there that we have like so many pictures of that I know they have to have footage of it somewhere, and I'd just love to see that footage back in the movie. All the deleted scenes back in the movies.
Yeah, and the production photos we've seen, yeah, that'd be something great to have. For both films. They just add so much more, and having to cut stuff because we need to be an hour and a half long or 90 minutes long, or that is an hour and a half, or 2 hours and 10 minutes long or whatever else. It doesn't really apply now. Sort of the same with going for an individual film and not setting up a franchise. Like Jurassic Park was its own thing. Yes, Spielberg had the Barbasol can, the mud that was a possibility for a sequel. They didn't go that way, thank goodness. Even in The Lost World, they had supposedly the raptors on the boat, which would have led into Jurassic Park 3. But again, that didn't happen, and it sort of brings the film down a little bit because of that. But
yeah, just looking at the listing of cutscenes here on Jurassicpedia, I mean, we of course had the boardroom scene and the Mombasa bar, Roland and Ajay meeting.
Yep.
Those can be found on the DVD, and they often get cut back into the movie when they're aired on TV. But we also have an extended Hammond and Malcolm scene in Hammond's bedroom office, which we discussed. We have like six different shots of the gather of Ian Malcolm's team, of them actually setting up their equipment and discussing Sarah Harding before going out into the field and looking for her. And of course, I've seen in behind the scenes. There's a quick clip, and it's not in this listing here. I'm going to add it at some point here. There's a quick clip of Vince Vaughn's character Nick Van Owen asking, "Hey, should we split up?" And Ian Malcolm shoots that down automatically. He's like, "No, that's the worst idea."
Yeah.
And of course, there's the Stegosaurus escape run where we have deleted scenes for. That was actually in the trailer. You can see Sarah Harding running away from the Stegosaurus and yelling, "Isn't it great?" And then there's more of Ian Malcolm and Sarah Harding lecturing each other about what they want to get from this experience. And so you can find a screenshot of Sarah Harding and Ian Malcolm that's not in the movie in the Lost World storybook, actually. And recently I discovered on the Jurassic World viral site of all places, they had an Ajay page. And no, really, and for some reason you can't access this photo on the page. You can only access it when you Google the Ajay page in Google Images.
Okay.
Is a picture of Roland and Ajay. They're looking around looking for the Rex nest. So there's a scene there's an extended Rex nest scene someplace. Of course, there's the Ludlow injures the baby T-Rex scene that appeared in the script, and we have a couple images for. And then there's another scene from the script, and this was also partly in behind the scenes, where Sarah Harding and Nick Van Owen go into the hunters' camp, and we see them cutting the gas lines on the vehicles.
Yeah, there's a production photo getting around that's been around for a long time of Nick crouching down beside a motorcycle. I think it was on the original the Lost World website on the map, but yeah, it's just one thing that sort of drops is they let all the animals go. The Triceratops comes through and takes out the satellite dish and the Hummer there and base camp, but all of a sudden all these vehicles are exploding and stuff like that. Like, you don't realise, they've gone through, they've cut gas lines as well as let animals go. That's why we're all walking to the worker village. There's no cars left, no vehicles left, which, plot. I'm sure you could fix some fuel lines pretty easily on a motorcycle, but then there's what point's a motorcycle off road when you're going to have a whole bunch of people walking with you. But yeah, you're bringing up there's some other cutscenes as well.
Yeah. And there's parts of the movie just reaching out there asking, connect me, I want to be complete.
Yeah.
They were just out there asking to be completed because for example, the Ludlow injures the baby T-Rex.
Yeah, yep.
You get the first shot of the T-Rex just kind of honking, the baby T-Rex honking for its parents. And then the next cut you get of it is Nick Van Owen releasing it from the trap, and it's flailing around. There's blood on his leg that wasn't there before, and you can see a champagne bottle and a coffee cup that wasn't there before.
Mm.
So there's parts of these deleted scenes still sticking around in the movie that would be great if we could get them back in.
Yeah. And sort of one of the big ones for me, and it's not really a deleted scene, it's more just early production stuff that they never went with, was the dead parasaur that the Japanese fishing boat pulls up in the net.
Mm-hmm.
Which we never really talked about in the early minutes, where that was going to be the star of the film, whether it replaced the cafe on the beach scene or what have you, but we know from the novel that Richard Levine was going down to Costa Rica because these things were washing up on the coast, and here we have a Japanese fishing vessel. Why it's this close to US waters, I don't know, but it pulls up a Parasaurolophus in a fishing net, half decayed and been floating in the water, and if that was going to suggest that animals were getting off the island or drifting away from the island, and that's how Malcolm was going to come in and not be summoned by Hammond or what. But that I'd just love to see if there's an early script out there. Even that, there's got to be a couple of different versions of the script out there, which I'd just love to read to see the steps they went through between Crichton having his novel and doing an adaptation of that, and then Kep and that coming in and rewriting it.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, we could go on all night about this.
Yeah, true.
I think we're going to get to some more on-topic stuff as we continue our minutes. Minute 20 is just out. We're on Sauna, and it's time to go and see our first real dinosaur sighting after the cafe on the beach. So, if anything else you want to bring up before we head out for the day?
I just want to, since you brought up that Japanese fishing boat thing, I just thought it's interesting that we also get remnants of that left over in the behind-the-scenes footage. They have like a cardboard cutout of a Parasaurolophus carcass stuck in a net, and that's in the deleted scenes in the galleries for the production of The Lost World.
Mm-hmm.
And I also found it interesting that they actually ended up building it. That's how far it got. They ended up building the Parasaurolophus carcass, and they just ended up sticking it around various parts of the island. They stuck it in the T-Rex nest.
I was going to say
stuck it again in the Velociraptor nest.
Yeah, I was going to say it's definitely in that T-Rex nest when they walk into it, and when you're seeing them, Roland and RJ from the juvenile T-Rex perspective, they're sitting there on top of it. And I don't know if it's actual flies or if they're CG flies or what, but just the way... Oh, is that all CG, is it?
Yeah, because Pete Postlethwaite asked Spielberg, why am I going to be flailing my hands in front of my face? And Spielberg responded, because we're going to add CG flies in, and you're going to look silly if you don't wave your hands in front of your face.
Wow, because just watching that scene now on the video, there's so many flies in the air, and it's understandable. You're in a tropical environment and all these carcasses around. It's a wonder the baby T-Rex isn't getting carried away by flies as well. But no, it's good. Just little stuff like that. It's great to see. We'll get to that stuff in future minutes. So. All right, thank you, David. A big thanks to Jay Jurassic 4 coming on as well. He had to get out of here a little bit early, but it was definitely great having a third perspective on the film on board as well. as I said earlier, it's just great with the 20th anniversary. So many people talking about the film again. It's been a bit sad looking at these groups on Facebook and Twitters and everything else bringing up Jurassic World this, Jurassic World that. Well, hey, there was another trilogy out that came out a long time ago, and it's personal opinion here that it was far better than what we've got after it. But yeah, so David, you and I are both working behind the scenes on Jurassicpedia, the spiritual successor to Legacy.
Mm-hmm. It's going live on the 23rd for the anniversary of The Lost World, and we're hoping to get a lot of work done on it. We're currently doing the costuming guides on we have a art forum for the Pedia, where users can share like their creative side and post like fan art, fan fiction, and we're putting together a costume guide for the movies, and currently we have Roland, Sarah Harding, and Alan Grant.
Very nice. So that's going live now as you are hearing this on the record.
Yeah, it's Jurassic-pedia.com, I think. Let me check.
We better get this right.
Jurassic-pedia.com.
All right, and yeah, we're working hard to build that site up. It's just online resource. Encyclopedia, just like you guys had with Legacy. There is the forum there that some of the members are looking after. So yeah, come on over. As we said, as we're talking in the episode, we're all part of the Jurassic Park community and we're all friends here. So this is just another place to come and hang out and share everything you know about Jurassic.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks to Jay for doing that, and all his stuff. As he said, you can go and check me out on Twitter and everywhere else. Dave, thank you for coming back on with me, and we'll reconvene in a week's time for minute 21:22.
All right, sounds good.
All right, see you later, guys.
See you later.
Well, half an hour from now, John Hammond's dream, reimagined, will come true. For 1/100th the cost of building a destination resort thousands of miles away.
I believe I've spent enough time in the company of death. All right, guys, let's get the hell out of here.
What's everybody looking at?
Tonight we'll christen Jurassic Park San Diego with a mega attraction that will drive turnstile numbers to rival any theme park in the world.
St. Peter's, to be a theme park, but a research station. This was where we did the real work.
What do you think you were going to document? What do you think you were going to see? It is absolutely imperative that we work with the Costa Rican Department of Biological Preserves to establish a set of rules for the preservation and isolation of that island. These creatures require our absence to survive, not our help. And if we could only step aside and trust in nature, life